I just want to say very, very briefly, thank you all very much for coming out tonight. The event tonight actually was born out of a conversation I had with my husband, Rick, about 2 months ago. Believe it or not, I get kind of wound up and worried about elections and about my job. And Rick said to me one night, he said, you know, you just have to stop. You have to think about why 5 years ago you originally decided to run for state representative, and your campaign has to come back around to that theme. What was it that originally inspired you to want to do this work? And when Rick said that to me, I stopped and I did think about it, and I realized that originally what I wanted to do was I wanted to get elected so that I could make change, that I could unearth things that weren't exactly right in government and fix them or work to fix them. I could work to make our community better, because I really do believe that in democracy and in our country, we can, if we organize and we work together, we can make things better. And that was the original premise of my campaign. And then I went out on the campaign trail, and I was this outsider. I had never been elected before. I was a mother. I was a community organizer. I was very well known for the community pool project, but hadn't been involved in politics. And now, 4 years later, after doing this job, I often get called a politician. And I shy away from that word, because I realize that I'm still the same person that I was 4 years ago, and I'm still motivated by the same things I was 4 years ago about engaging our community and working hard to bring change. But in 4 years, I've learned a lot. I've learned that there's local politics. I've learned a lot about state politics. And I've learned that in politics, what I mean by politics, guys, is there's people, there's policies, and there's positions and personalities. And sometimes we push public policy in a direction that isn't exactly right. And it's not always... it doesn't always have the best result. And so I've learned that I have to navigate through the politics. And I would say to you that the reason I don't get frustrated is because even though the politics exists, and maybe it always will, I've had the experience of seeing results. And the results have been amazing, and I think it's what comes back around to inspire me. Sometimes the results are small. It's getting a street sign in on a street and making it safer, or it's upgrading, helping someone navigate through the government bureaucracy, or hey, what about Brooklawn Avenue down on the corner? That only took us 3.5 years, but they're fixing up our road. But sometimes the results have been bigger for me. I got to work on a team that banned a chemical. It's a chemical called BPA. It's actually, we banned it from children's products. And this chemical, it's a toxin, and it hurts the developing brains of children. And I got to work on a team, and we passed a law in Connecticut that says there's no longer going to be BPA in products. And that was a big deal, because... I know, it was. It's a big deal because we are leading the nation in that conversation, and I got to be part of that team. I also got to be part of the Lyme Disease Doctor-Patient Protection Act. This was an amazing accomplishment for me because it was legislation that I actually was involved in writing. And now in Connecticut, people who have Lyme disease have better options for health care. Obviously tonight is a sort of a political event, because I have you all here so that I can announce that I am running for state representative in 2011, for the 2011 session. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that there's huge symbolism in this night for me. And the first part of that is that there's kids here. And if any of you have ever been to a political event, this event would typically be me standing at town hall, and I'd be surrounded by party officials and elected officials from Fairfield, and I'd make an announcement, and there'd be a lot of speeches, and we would say I was the best candidate, and that would be my announcement. But And don't get me wrong, in democracy and in government, there is a place for those types of speeches, and I've given them quite a few times. But tonight, I wanted it to, this event, to go back to what Rick said to me 2 months ago. I wanted this event to be about why I originally decided to run. And so the kids are here, yeah, sure, as a reminder that when I'm fighting and when we're all working, we're working for our kids' future. We don't spend enough time training our children and teaching our children about what democracy is. And I wanted them to be here tonight so that they could see that it takes a lot. There's an election, and we're starting the campaign now, and hopefully you all will follow me all the way to Election Day, and you can start to follow the work I do, because learning about your government is so very important. But there's also incredible symbolism in the fact that I have so many friends and family actually here tonight. And I would say the important part of you all being here is there might be more Republicans than Democrats here. And that's okay, because you're great people. You know I'm married to a Republican also. But that was important symbolism for me too. You're my neighbors, you're my friends, we are Democrats, we are Republicans. This is the way the world, it works. And for me to get my job done, and for politicians across the country to get their job done, Democrats, Republicans, they have to work together. We hear about it too often, but the fact of the matter is that's how I passed the Lyme Disease Act. That's how we passed the Bisphenol A Act. We worked together. And you being here tonight is just so important to me, because it reminds me why I do this, why I'm inspired by the work, and how I will continue to work for you next January.